Yay! We made it to step 13. Archive project to long-term tape. This step it's tedious, but I'm going to walk you through it. This step can be broken out into 4 parts. Part 1, open all 3 windows for archiving. I'm going to take a minute and get you familiar with the 3 windows you're going to be working with when you archive. I created these shortcuts for you down here. We're going to want to open that. Put it all the way to the right. Next to that, you've got this completed projects shortcut. This is a folder in the project share. I've made a shortcut here. Click on that and open up awaiting archive, and also open up archived projects directory. Alright, you're going to want to make your screen look just like mine. So we're going to take awaiting archive and we're going to size that down, put it here, and then let's put this down here. Alright, we've got awaiting archive in the upper left, archived projects directory underneath, and the A-Series FTP client over here to the right. Let's talk about what these things are. Awaiting archive. These are the projects that need to be archived. We move things here, and then when they get to be 6 months old, we archive them. So for the sake of this test, we're going to pretend that it's June 1st, which means that everything from January is now 6 months old. So we're going to archive these items from January. Now, in order to go through this, I want your screen to look just like mine. So if you don't see date modified here, go ahead and right click and add that. Okay? And if you don't see a size, add size. And if you've got the size column but nothing showing up there, click on this gear wheel here, go to show view options, and click make sure calculate all sizes is checked. Okay? See? Big difference. Alright. Now, we got the project, date modified, and the size. Sort by date modified so the oldest stuff comes to the top. And here's the oldest stuff. January 29th, January 30th. We're going to want to archive everything from January. Alright. So now we have the stuff we want to archive here, and we're going to do one folder at a time. But before we actually move what's in this folder, we need to figure out where we're moving it to. So we want to find the most recent tape. For that, let's go down to Archived Projects Directory, which is just a directory. And this time, instead of sorting by date modified, sort by name, because these folders are named date, month, year. So if you sort by name and scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the newest is 2013-04-02. So that's the most recent tape. What we don't know is how much space is left on that tape. So what we're going to want to do, since that's the most recent tape, is get that tape out of the drawer, pop it in. Once it's popped in the LTO tape deck, you're going to want to come over here to the A-Series FTP client, click up here and select root, which is the root of the drive. It's kind of makes you think it's frozen, but it'll come to life if the tape's in the drive and the drive is on. Alright, right here, free space, 5237. Let me bring this down a little bit here. I'm going to readjust this because I like to have it where I can see everything that's in there. So, we are familiar with our windows. These are the things that need to be archived in awaiting archive. This is the directory, which we'll come back to that and talk more about it, but at this stage it helped us find what tape is the most recent tape. We put that tape in and we see that we have some free space on it, so we're going to continue archiving on that tape. We're ready for step 2, which is resize any sparse disk images. Here's how that works. Before I can put Helipad foam test on this tape, I have got to look inside this folder, and if I see a sparse image like what you see right here, I've got to resize that. because even though it says it's 1.4 gigabytes, it actually has an allotment set for 100 gigabytes so that it can grow. Well, now that we're done editing that and we're about to archive it, we need to put a limit on that, or else it's going to take up 100 gigabytes on this tape. And we don't want that. So what we're going to do is go to this program down here, Create Disk Image, SCDI. You should have it on your bar too. Open that up. Down here where it says Resize Disk Image, take the size that you see there of this disk image, which is 1.4, add 5 gigabytes to it. So let's make it 6.4. And that's what we're always going to want to do, is add 5 gigabytes to that number. Give ourselves a little headroom. Click on Resize Disk Image, and it's going to ask which disk image we want to resize. It doesn't know what we were looking at, so we have to go to that folder, which is Project Share, Completed Projects, Awaiting Archive. There's that disk image that we want to resize. Here it says 1.4. Select it. It did its job. And this sparse disk image has now been condensed. Let's do that for all the videos we're going to archive. Here we have this one. It's 10.74. Again, I'll open Create Disk Image. This time I'll show you a little trick that I like to do. You could go ahead and make all these a color. That way when you go in here and you go to resize it, what's 10.74 plus 5? 15.74. Resize. Now it's green. You don't have to worry about accidentally clicking on the wrong thing. I like that. Select. The bigger it is, the longer it'll take, but it'll never take more than a minute. If it does, call me. Alright, so let's do that for everything from January. Okay, so now I've finished resizing all the sparse disk images, and that means we're ready for part 3, move entire project folder to tape drive. And I like to go ahead and highlight them all, make them a color. I'll make them yellow so I know that I'm going to archive these, but I haven't done it yet. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one, Helipad Foam Test. In order to get this folder onto the tape, I've got to go to the A-Series FTP client. I've got to go to, on the left-hand side, Local, Volumes, Project Share, Completed, Awaiting Archive, Sort by Date, make it come to the top. There it is. Now, I've got to take this folder and drag it over here to root, which is the tape itself. Here's the problem. Sometimes when you go to drag stuff over here, it's easy to accidentally put it inside of a folder. Right now I'm holding down the mouse button. If I let go, it's going to go inside that folder. So where I want to put it is up here on the ... so it'll go to the root. Okay? Let me go ahead and let go. And when I let go of that mouse button, it's going to start transferring. If you look down here at the bottom, it says Helipad Foam Test, Destination Helipad Foam Test. That's good. It's not going into any kind of a folder. Now the size of that was 1.3 gigabytes. But remember, we added 5 gigabytes. We're always adding 5 gigabytes to everything, which is invisible to the tape drive itself. What that means is that if each project is 5 gigabytes more than the tape thinks it is, then eventually the tape is going to run out of space before it thinks it will. So it might say free space 20 gigabytes, and at some point give you a message saying that the file is too big. When that happens, that tape is full, and it's time to start a new tape. The other thing that's a bit kerflunky is that when you go to drag this folder over here, a lot of times as you're dragging it over, all of a sudden you'll notice on the left that a different folder is highlighted than the one you started. If that happens, don't let go because you'll be copying over the wrong folder. Move your mouse off the screen and let go somewhere off outside of this A-series window. Then come back and hold down Option before you click. When you do that, it'll select the correct video, and when you drag over that, it should stay highlighted. So basically what I'm saying is don't let go of your mouse button on this side unless the correct folder is still highlighted in blue on the left. If you have some really weird issues with that, call me and we'll work it out together. I know I have, but I've gotten to a point now where by pushing Option once, it seems to make it work for the rest of the day. Oh, here we go. File too big for remaining space on tape, which is exactly what I expected, because even though the tape thinks there's 52 gigabytes left, each one of these folders is 5 gigabytes more than it thinks it is. So you could see how that would add up to be more than 50 gigabytes worth of space that it thinks it has, that it doesn't. But I simulated this on purpose because I wanted to show you what to do when it comes time to start a new tape. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say eject tape. Okay. Then down here in the archived projects directory, I'm going to start a new tape because this one is full. So I'm going to, we're pretending it's June, but in all honesty it's actually May 22nd. So I'm going to make a new folder in archived projects directory, and I'm going to name it 2013-05-22 because that's today's date. And that will be the same label that I will put on the new tape. And I will go and pop that new tape in the drive. And we're back. I put the new tape in, and I'll come over here to the A-Series FTP client and connect to it. And normally when you connect to a new tape, it gives you a warning message about table of contents, something, something, warning, this will destroy all information on the tape. Okay, and you say okay, because it doesn't matter, it's a brand new tape, there's nothing to destroy. And then that formats the tape, and it's ready to go. I didn't get that message because I already did that. So here we go, totally empty tape. All you see on here is the trash. And this is great because I can grab all of the folders from January by highlighting them all. I'm holding Command. Okay, and these are all the ones where I already resized the sparse disk images. It's important you do that step. Now, drag them over and look what happened. I haven't let go yet because, as you can see, on the left side, nothing's highlighted. So I'm going to move my mouse off the screen over here and let go. Let me come back. This time I'm going to hit Option when I click on Helipad Foam Test. And now I'll try this again. Highlight all the ones that say January. Bring it over. And look, magically this time, they're all still highlighted. The plus means that it's going to go in there right where I want it to. Everything looks good, so I'm going to let go. And off it goes. Now this is going to take a while. So I'm going to go take a break and get some coffee and edit out all of this boring time while we wait for all these files to transfer. And we're back. And look at this. Files transferred. 19 of 19. Errors, 0. Skipped, 0. If you have errors or skipped files, contact me before moving on to part 4. Clear contents of project folder and move empty folder to archive directory. Okay, so it's fairly obvious we don't want to do part 4 if we have errors here. But look, success. No errors. We're good to go. We moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 project folders over to the tape. Over here we made them all yellow so they'd be easy to recognize. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those were all those ones from January. Now we're going to empty them out. we don't delete the folders, we just delete what's inside of them. Open them up like this. Alright. And take these sparse disk images. I'm going to use the command key to highlight them all. And basically we highlight everything inside these folders. And move to trash. Oh, I'm sure. Because they've been archived. So why not? Right? Now, these folders are now empty. Actually, I moved them down here. It's another good reason to make them yellow. Because we're sorting by date modified. So by deleting the contents, we just modified them and moved them all the way to the bottom. See? Colors come in handy. Okay, so look, they're all 0 bytes now, these folders are, which is great. And down here, remember we started the new tape, 2013-0522, in our archived projects directory. Well, let's go inside that tape, and let's move all of these empty folders in there. Now they're no longer in the awaiting archive folder. The contents are on the tape, and the folders themselves, which are empty, are now in the 2013-0522 directory. Let me make these regular. No point in having them yellow anymore. And these empty folders are what serve as the searchable directory that tells us what tape these things are on. So the folders are empty because the contents are off on tape, which frees up the hard drive space. When we deleted the contents of the folders, we got back that valuable hard drive space, and we put the empty folders in the awaiting archive directory. And now you see we have this awesome directory. Now you can expand these to see what's on these tapes. You can search by project number and see exactly what tapes a project is on. But these folders should be empty in the archived projects directory and no longer in the awaiting archive directory. You notice our next latest is February now. And over here on the tape in their entirety, if I look, there are the contents. That's how we do it. Now, some thing that you're going to run into frequently is when you do the deleting the contents of the folder step, you will occasionally run into an error that says that the files are either in use or locked and you cannot delete them. So when that happens, you need to open up another window. I'll click on the trash can, go to Project Share, and I made a folder called Trash. Open that up, drag the stuff that you can't delete over here, and then I'll clear that out at the end of the month. This is also a good thing to do if you want to delete something but you're scared that you might accidentally have other things selected. For instance, I want to delete this folder, but how do I know that down here off the screen I don't accidentally have another folder selected, and when I delete, it's going to delete, look, 2 items. So one thing you can always do is drag it over here to this trash folder first. Then you can clearly see that it's just that we're getting rid of. Now, also, this is undoable. I just undid that and went back to where it was. Deleting it this way, move to trash, is not undoable. So this trash folder is both on the, I made one on the project share, trash, and I also made one on the library share. There it is, trash. Let's make that capital. And just use the one that corresponds to where you're coming from. I know this is a lot. Go ahead and watch this tutorial a couple times. Ask me if you have questions. But just to review, step 1, open all 3 windows for archiving. Step 2, resize any sparse disk images. Step 3, move the entire project folder to the tape drive. And then step 4, clear the contents of the project folder and move the empty folder to the archive directory